What's going on, Ambitious Vet? Welcome to another episode of the Ambitious Vet Show. As I think about this episode that just got done being recorded recently, is that desire and ambition are one and the same. When I go back and look at the origin of words like desire, the definition of desire is a strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. Ambition, the definition for that is a strong desire to do or achieve something, typically requiring determination and hard work. They're one and the same. And Ambitious Vet, this is my promise to you. By the end of this episode, you're going to learn how to keep that desire strong while feeding your leadership skills and mindset to shape the environments you find yourself in right now. In this episode, you're going to find a way to continue to fuel it and also have an opportunity to learn how to apply it. That's the most important thing. Don't just gain this knowledge. Don't just gain these golden grenades. Find a way to apply it in an area of life that you desire more in. Stay tuned.
But then you've got to get to a place where you're not just fighting just the closest problem and the only little thing. The easy analogy is this. Your thoughts, your feelings, your worries, your problems, like the lines on your hand. And if you hold your hand up and you focus on your thoughts and your problems, you're focused on one thing to the exclusion of everything else that's real in the world.
Are you ready for more fuel for your warrior lifestyle? Well, Ambitious Vet, if that's you, look no further than Alpha Coffee. It's premium coffee with a cause. For every order you place, they send a cup of awesome coffee downrange to deployed troops. In fact, to date, they have sent out 19,000 plus bags of coffee. What I love about them the most is their warrior ethos. They're principle driven and value driven, and it leads everything that they've done since the day they've started. What are they? Awesome coffee, be a warrior, have fun, and give back. Ambitious Vet, if you're already spending over $20 a month on coffee monthly, like me and my wife are, why not support a veteran-owned company? And feel free to take advantage also of your 10% military discount and an additional 10% off when you subscribe to your favorite blend. Why not? Just get better coffee and support a good cause for as little as $20 a month. If you're saying, Chris, shut up, explore all their blends, gear, and social impact initiatives now by visiting alpha.coffee/ambitious vet. Again, that's alpha.coffee/ambitious vet. Welcome to the Ambitious Vet Podcast. My name is Chris Hoffman. I'm a Marine Corps combat veteran turned social entrepreneur. Here, I dive into the trenches with today's most ambitious, goal-oriented, and growth-minded military veterans on the planet with one mission in mind. And that is to empower you with the golden grenades needed to break through new levels of satisfaction, fulfillment, and success after stability is no longer a challenge to overcome. Now, I have to give you a quick disclaimer. We do say we do say you knows, so if you're looking for perfection, this isn't the podcast for you. But just like life, it isn't perfection, right? So if you are perfectly imperfect like us, listen for the gold, and I promise you, you will get the golden grenades you need to forward your life.
It's time to get into the trenches, dig into your purpose, and fire up your life's fulfillment. The Ambitious Vet Podcast starts now.
What's going on, Ambitious Vet? We are right back inside the trenches today with Colonel Garth Massey. Colonel Garth Massey has been an officer of Marines for 25 years, serving in the combat arms. Currently, he works aboard Camp Pendleton, California, in the MEF Information Group. Also, he's a graduate of the Army War College with a master's in strategic studies and a master's in business administration from Reggie's University in Colorado. Colonel Massey founded a leadership development firm in 2006 called Command Ready. Well, Command Ready, it's actually providing learning programs on leadership across corporate America. His clients include brands like JPL, DreamWorks, Riot Games, Beverly Hills PD, Blizzard Entertainment, SpaceX, and many more. The Command Ready programs build actionable ideas in communication, planning, meeting preparation, and team building, straight from the battlefield to the boardroom. Check out all of what Colonel Garth Massey is doing right now at www.commandready.com. Well, Colonel Garth Massey, are you there?
I am, Chris. Thank you. There's nothing more uncomfortable than sitting and listening to your own like bio introduction.
It's kind of like one of those things like, wow, I'm actually working with all those brands, and it's kind of like self-indulging a little bit. But hey, man, as I was saying when we first met, you were one of the first military influencers providing leadership, personal growth, professional development, whatever you want to call it nowadays, just popping up on my Facebook page. You're one of the key players that actually inspired me to start this podcast. And I think I told you that when we first spoke. And it's just your way to teach in concepts, to create images in people's brains so they learn faster is just absolutely through the roof. So it's an honor to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you. This has been a fun journey. I know I'm not doing social media right, and I have a lot of vets who are trying to help me out because it is not a skill set. But I think we're talking about something super, super important. Whether you're a veteran transitioning or you're in the corporate world right now trying to understand how to improve, the military has something to offer, and that's the story we're trying to tell.
Yeah, and you're doing a good job of it. So I want to go ahead and just give you the mic. I mean, fill the gaps inside of that introduction. Let us know a little bit more about your background.
Yeah, well, so born and raised in Alaska. My dad graduated Cal Berkeley in late 1960s. Had hair down to his butt or his belt. So I went the opposite end of that spectrum. But I understand the idea of sort of how families and our family of origin can shape the way we think and the things we aspire to. So I aspired to be part of what we would call like an honor code or an honor society, right? Like I looked at where my family was coming from, and I realized I wanted to belong to something that had a higher purpose or a higher calling. And the military just appealed to me. And quite frankly, I picked the Marine Corps because they dared me. I mean, you go to all the recruiters and they're like, great, sign up for ROTC and we'll give you 2 years of classes in college. And the Marines were like, well, you got to fill out this application. And most people can't even get that done. And if you can get it done, usually takes about a month. And then we board you, but you probably won't even be picked. And did you call the guys at the Army? Because they have an ROTC program. And I was like, by golly, I'll show you. And now looking back, they do that on purpose, right? Because they're looking for people who want to jump at the opportunity to show, what they've got or whatever. And so I was that huckleberry. I leapt into it. And then, did the classic thing. Got commissioned, joined. My first hardship tour station was out in Hawaii, down in 2-3. And then from there, the economy was booming and people were throwing money at vets left and right to get out. So in 2000, 2001, I got out and got jobs in corporate America, running teams, sales, management, all that stuff. But I stayed affiliated with the reserves. And since then, I've done, almost 4 years of deployments, some in the combat zone, some not. My most recent one was literally last year and ended in August. So I'm kind of just getting settled back into this COVID teleworking world. But through all that, I find that, the planning procedures and the process and the way of thinking, like the way the military connects strategic goals, what the ends, ways, and means of our government want with the tactical application, and that connecting file, which we call operational design, in between the two. I mean, it's helping me pivot and change as I go from in-person development workshops to virtual workshops. We've moved our entire thing to a platform online. You can do asynchronous training, you can do group training, you can do one-on-one, and you can do combinations of all that stuff. And all of that comes from understanding how to connect your mission with your daily actions. And so we just try to capture that. And it's a skill set that veterans should be taught. And maybe you're not taught in your first 4 years. Like there are classes for each level, right? But it's what we bring to the corporate world that I think is worth its weight in gold. But you have to understand what you already know, and that's the trick.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you breaking all that down and filling us in with the background and all that good stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think that's where I saw the gap inside your content creation as well. And I know we're going off script a little bit here, but the Ambitious Vet podcast does that sometimes. And I like the authenticity, brother. So, I saw like a breakout in your content consistency and frequency. And that was when you left for deployment, right? And then you came back probably wanting to teach leadership development content, and it was all virtual. So learning how to catch up with that had to be a little bit tough, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had thought, I guess ambitiously, that once mobilized, I'd be able to kind of play both fiddles.
Yeah.
But it in the job I was given, it was take your cell phone and stick it in the wall locker at the beginning of the day, and then at 7 p.m. you can have your laptop and locker back. And I got a bunch of kids, so I go home and I thought I'd do night work and whatever. And the fact is, I had no love for the side hustle, so I didn't post for almost a year.
Right.
Just because I wanted to do my job well, and so I stuck to that.
Yeah, and I think that's important, right? And I mean, I think that's why a lot of people are rediscovering you virtually, because everyone, was used to having live workshops with you, correct? So now, like, you creating on demand at your own pace content, I think this is going to pay off long term for both the people that you're teaching and for yourself. And then once we get past this COVID shit, we can just start.
It's not even like we're running one big ad for me, though. I mean, it's understand, like imagine being in a world where your job was to get 20 people in a room together, and you left and it was booming. I had 28 days notice to mobilize, so we dropped everything and ran. And I had a lot of clients that said, "Hey, as soon as you get back, let's turn it back on." Awesome. And then my get back date got delayed because we couldn't move and we couldn't ship stuff. And as that got lifted with COVID, I came back to a lot of very apologetic clients who were like, "Look, we still believe in developing our people, but we can't get 20 people in a room together." And so you have a couple choices there, right? I mean, this is one of those moments where you get knocked down, and if you're committed to your business, to your goals, to your life, to your family, like, commitment itself is about making a sacrifice, or is about enduring pain, or is about taking action that shows your values. Commitment is not about a feeling like, oh, I feel like I'm the best, and so you're the best. Like, it's about being willing to do the work to make the change. And so I'm committed to the prospects of teaching sound leadership principles in an effort to change what I think our society's gotten into, this very individual oriented, like our schools, our jobs, our interview process is about weeding out the best individuals. So we don't really learn teamwork, and we don't really learn leadership until you're thrust into a leadership position. And then it's kind of late. Like, you're testing out things you read in a book, or maybe heard about or watched in a movie, which would be the worst way. And so we've got all these people, they're excellent individuals, and then they get given a team and they're like, go run the team. And so what they do is they run the team by being excellent individuals plus, and they just try and make everybody keep pace with them. And so you have all these disgruntled leaders who are like, why can't everybody be like me? Or, the study of leadership helps that. So I believe in that, and I'm committed to that. And so then it's just a matter of like, okay, if I still have a purpose and direction, if I still have that north, then great. Well, what do I have to do to adjust? Because if we learn nothing else in the military, it's how to adapt and overcome. Like, how do you adjust to get around the obstacle and keep moving towards things that matter to you? And that's a skill set that we get that, can often be underplayed sometimes.
Oh man, I think us military veterans love to underplay everything, Oh man, I still do that. My wife's just like, stop it, own your value. I'm like, oh man, come on. It's everyone else. But no, I mean, to your point, 20 plus years, Marine Corps, full bird colonel. Now, you're getting into leadership development content virtually. It's a new world we live in. Also, new leadership traits to learn. How do we manage? How do we build teams in a virtual world? I mean, what has you being interested in what you're doing right now?
So Right now, we have some basic blocking and tackling skill set stuff that's available. Like you need to understand how to build situational awareness. You need basic skills like decision making and planning, and you definitely need to understand how to take an idea and put it into action. Those are our common core stuff, and then a lot of that's in our program, the one that you signed up for, the 21 steps. So a lot of that is in. But what has me fascinated right now are some of the things that are missing. So, I'm a Marine, right? We have the 14 leadership traits. JJ did tie buckle, right? And, judgment, justice, all that stuff, right?
Did a lot of push-ups to learn that.
Did a lot of push-ups to learn that, right?
Push-ups.
So, but what's missing in there is humility or empathy or compassion. And I think we learned that in combat. We learned that showing up and being the biggest and the baddest and the toughest and knocking down a door and knocking over a chest and looking for weapons and show me your terrorist, right? Like that attitude is great once when you're planting your flag and calling it yours. But if you have to stay, if you have to work with a population, if you have to create or shape an environment where other people can step up, which would be leadership, right? If you don't have humility and compassion, you tend to kind of beat down the people that you're actually trying to help. And so I think it's time to sort of reevaluate all the traits. And then as I look at that, I really fall back on some ancient wisdom, whether you go theologically back to the cardinal virtues or the same 4 virtues that go back to Aristotle in 100 plus years ago, where you're talking about temperance and prudence and justice and courage. And then you wrap all that, humility is again, the glue that binds. And then you can add magnanimity to it, which is a tough word to say, but essentially means set audacious goals. Like go do something amazing. Like set a target for yourself to go out and achieve something. And then do it with those 4 cardinal virtues wrapped in humility. And you look at our world right now, like, regardless of where you stand politically, both sides are making the exact same case against each other. The exact same case. Like, oh, well, they were bad because, or they did this because. Now, I recognize that even in hearing that, people will be like, oh, yeah, but my side is better because. Like, okay, but go back and look at the information that you're receiving and fueling your life choices with, and you find two of the core values. Prudence, like, are you using reason or just emotion to talk about what you're talking about? And if you can't use your reason, then you're not making a logical argument. If you're pointing to some anonymous thing of, oh, well, I heard and Jonesy's sister has, great. That's not prudence. You haven't used reason or thought. And then temperance, like, let's stop with the extremes of I'm over here, and because I'm over here, by gosh, everybody keep up. Or now I'm going back the other way. The pendulum swings that people are on right now. Temperance is about the idea, whether you do it through Stoicism, whether you do it through theology, whether you do it through Aristotle, like temperance is the idea that you recognize that as good as it is now, it's going to be bad later, and then it's going to be good again. And you ought to just cool your jets a little bit and stop trying to stop every wave that crashes on the ocean that you don't like on the shore, right? Like recognize that they're going to come in, they're going to go out. Enjoy the beach. But we have people who are literally like little kids drawing lines in the sand and going, I've got to stop the next wave. I only want the happy waves to come through. And you embrace the in and out and embrace the process. So I'm all in on these character and understanding how virtue matters and matters in leadership. It matters in your family. It matters in your job. And so, I've been delving into that. And I know we talked originally about operational design, but
hey, whatever comes out, right? Like that's what I love about this show, Ambitious Vet, is it's, what needs to be said right now in the moment, right? We can create a framework, a pre-interview before this, but in the moment, what's relevant topics that's going to move you forward inside the trenches? And I know personally for me, Garth, is that stoicism has been something that has just strengthened my mind to go through some of the trenches over the past years. Me and my wife, we've experienced a move from San Diego, California down to Dallas, Fort Worth area, and also getting married. And despite COVID, but she's one of the strongest women I could ever imagine. I'm with a warrior, and man, just trying to keep up with her, grow this business, impact veteran stoicism. To your point, virtues keep us grounded and centered, man. So like, how do you see this just missing inside of the corporate world in general right now? Because it sounds like what you're pointing to is like,
Well, there's
real character development.
yeah. And it's not that there are a lot of great people with a ton of great character all around our planet, right? I think that we teach individualism. We talked about that a little bit, in that we look for people who are excelling individually, and then we just give them people. And we say,
Yeah.
Well, you did a great job, so now do a great job with these other people. There are arguably 6 styles of leadership. 2 of them are commanding and pace setting. They're the most prominent, they are the most widely used, and they are also the ones that most commonly go negative. Commanding just becomes, in your face telling after a while. It's great in an emergency. It's great when you have a large group that just needs information given to them. But you can't command every day. Think about it in terms of children. Kid wakes up and you're yelling at them to get dressed, and you're yelling at them to go to school, and you're yelling at them to do their homework, and you're yelling at them to turn off the TV. Like, you commanded their day, but in the end, you've created distance, right? So in corporate America, it's understanding that, we've idolized that image of a leader as the person with their foot on the rock and the sword pointed towards the North Star and waving their hands saying, follow me. Like, that's the siren's call of leadership. That's a false image. And it will drag you to the rocky shoals. Like the sirens were the creatures that would sing so beautifully and promise you everything that you ever wanted. And you would head towards the shores, right? And then when you get there, you'd crash and die, and they would eat you, right? Well, that's what's happening, I think, a little bit with leadership too. Like, we've created these idols of what a leader is, whether in the movies or in our politicians or wherever. And we lost the connection point, which is like, whoa, we don't need to command our way out or be the strongest and fastest. Pace setting was the other one. And the military has learned this lesson the hard way. Like, if your boss is the first one in, last one out, and drives the hardest pace, the fittest one, the smartest one, like, you run out of bosses really who can always be the smartest, the best, the fastest. And quite frankly, you don't need to be the smartest, the best, the fastest to lead a team. You need to be somebody who can define a vision and shape an environment around the team and encourage their growth, because, we're all one bullet away from irrelevant on the field of combat, right? In the military, but in the business world, you're one job offer, one move out of state, one whatever. So focusing on how to develop your skill set as a leader is critical, just to function in society at a level higher than like entry, like Lance Corporal or brand new hire. If you want to get past that level, you have to study leadership. And then we cheat, by the way. You talk about stoicism. Like, the cheating is, we don't want to read Marcus Aurelius, right? Meditations is too hard and it's redundant and it's hard to pick through and you got to think about it. So what do? We go by the silver bullet version, where some author has said, this quote means something to you, and here's your context. Like,
here's the 3 steps. And
right.
Important. Yeah.
I get it. But at some point, if you truly want to master your own environment, right, go back and read the book. Don't read someone's interpretation of the book to tell you what you think about it. Read the book. Now, then you can compare and contrast, and the redundancy is not going to hurt you. You can read the excerpt version and be like, oh, that's not what I took from it. What an interesting perspective. And you can change, but start with the original book and do that in all aspects of your life. And does that mean more work? Yeah, that's the pain part. That is actual commitment. It's not just the feel good aspects of like, I just want to be happy. Well, I don't want to be happy. I want to struggle, and I want that struggle to have meaning. Like, that's what I want. But you got to do the work.
That struggle. I like that. I like the whole, the struggle has to have meaning, right? Because if you're just struggling and you're doing the same shit over and over again, and you're going back and you're still struggling and you're not learning, right? Or gaining the tools to learn and go back and figure out, okay, how do I adapt? And so that outcome doesn't happen again. We're going into a vicious circle out of the uniform, which is interesting.
There's a huge difference between struggle, which is you working against resistance to gain something, gain ground, gain knowledge, gain wisdom, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And suffering, which is just you suffering, which is just kind of embracing the suck and being cold and being wet and being broke and being tired hard and being, divorced on the side of the street somewhere. That's suffering, right? Struggling is Sisyphus. That's waking up every day with a passion to push rocks up a hill. Like he cannot get away from the desire to push that rock up the hill. And he is so lucky because every day he wakes up and he's got a rock and a hill. So he can do the one thing he wants to do more than anything else in life. He can work to push this rock up the hill. And so, we tell the story of Sisyphus like, if you lack humility, the gods will punish you with this endless toil. But in a way, he might be the happiest of all of us. Like he has not just an idea, he has a compulsion to do something. And everything he needs is there at the beginning of every day. And tomorrow he gets to do it all over again. I mean, you could embrace that as actually that might not be so bad. Now, I don't want to push a rock uphill every day, but for Sisyphus, he didn't have a choice. Well, so get away from the suffering. The suffering's not doing us any good. Mm-hmm. So, suffering doesn't make us any better. It just means we're miserable. But if the suffering can be turned into learning, then it's a struggle, and struggle is good. And maybe it's a fine point. I don't know, but that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, no, that's a good perspective. Also whenever you're trying to push that rock, he gained muscles, he gained resilience, he gained, there's a lot of attributes that are gained upon the struggle, and dealing with resilience. Cause I think that's a big thing that leadership needs to focus on too, is how do we build emotional resilience in our teams and just in ourselves and just all that good stuff. So I would ask you this. I mean, you got out, got in the corporate world for a little bit. You built teams, built teams, led teams, stuff like that. How did you actually leverage some of these core principles that you're talking about right now to build successful teams, lead them, and boost their productivity?
Yeah. So I think an ambitious vet, right, needs to be supremely conscious of how you shape the environment. So you can call it culture if you want, or shaping good habits or whatever. But if you think about the military, right, once you're through basic training or boot camp or whatever you went to, when you are there day on, stay on every day, they have a plan. They're working on a skill set that builds to a larger skill set. You know what you're going to wear, you know when you're going to eat, you know who you're going to hang out with, like you have a plan. And they have shaped an environment where even the knuckle dragger, booger eater guy can load a magazine, move to the firing line and do their job. And they move hundreds of thousands of Americans in our military, but across the world, millions of people across the world learn how to do the steps to do the thing, right? Yeah. Well, when you're in a corporate world, a lot of leaders go in and they try and focus on the person, right? They try and focus on an individual, like, oh gosh, today, Chris seems a little down in the mouth, like he must be upset. I spend my energy like on, oh, did you have a bad day? Did you not get a good breakfast? Or maybe he hates his job. Oh, we should offer him a bonus or whatever. I would tell you that the real pros focus on the culture or shaping their environment. They set up a workplace where you don't have to make choices about doing the right thing. It's just a process. You follow the process. Save that emotional energy for, making the deal or closing the thing or getting up a little earlier and starting PT again or whatever it is. But you shape your environment so that you'll succeed. If you try and rely on, every little nitnoid detail as it comes across your plate, you're going to be exhausted. You're going to burn out. And then you'll have no choice but to focus on the individual thoughts, the individual worries, each, what's that, the closest alligator to the boat, right? Like you're fighting the fight. So if you are out there looking to do something more with your life and you're willing to endure the sacrifice, the struggle, the resistance to get there, which you have what it takes. Everyone listening, you have what it takes to win that fight, to stand up to the struggle. Like you'll be okay. You're going to make, I'm not saying you're going to be rich, right? But you can take it as long as you recognize that that's what it is, that it's iron sharpening iron kind of thing. That's making you better. That mindset will approach it so you can get there. But then you've got to get to a place where you're not just fighting just the closest problem and the only little thing. The easy analogy is this: your thoughts, your feelings, your worries, your problems, like the lines on your hand. And if you hold your hand up and you focus on your thoughts and your problems, you're focused on one thing to the exclusion of everything else that's real in the world, right? So the more you focus on it too, the closer it comes, until at one point your hand is literally over your eyes and you can't see anything but that thought, that feeling, that problem. And you lose perspective on everything else that's going on. And so when we pay attention exclusively just to our feelings and our thoughts, we lose the reality of the experienced world, right? We lose the reality of all the other stuff out there. And if there's a car heading your way and you're staring into the palm of your hand, you're going to be hit by the car. So you've got to find a way to take your thoughts and provide distance so you can get perspective on everything else.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot of mindset stuff. A book that I recently picked up, actually a friend of mine sent it to me for Christmas, was A Happy Pocket Full of Money. Forget the author's name. I'll post it in the comments, the show notes below, Ambitious Vet, but it's all perspective, mindset shift. And I just want to share here, because I think it's really tailoring towards what you're talking about, is building desire during times where, we may not want desire, like things just may feel stopped. We don't want desire, right? And, this page of this book that I read on was just like everything that was designed, like the 21 step challenge that we're about to talk about from Colonel Garth Massey, Ambitious Vet. He had desire, and take that same desire, everything's created around that, right? There was a desire to start this podcast. So what does it do? Everyone starts working around the podcast to make it successful. I started attracting quality guests like Colonel Garth Massey. And then Colonel Garth Massey goes and promotes that. There's all desire. Desire moves a lot of stuff. And I think that inspiring desire for more is like the core source of why we find the economy the way it is, and also a lot of people afraid to step into leadership, which is a whole nother subject. I'm sure we could spend an entire podcast episode in, but I want to talk about this 21 step challenge that you've created that I went into and took one of the video courses on how to build trust. And tell us about this 21 step challenge, our virtual program, and how it can, build our desire to become more out of the uniform. I mean, that's ambitious vet language right there.
Yeah, look, if you put yourself in a position where you stop being a continuous learner, like you're done, you stagnate, and you can sit there for the rest of your life and you'll mark time. And, we all know that when you're marching around, marking time is just the worst. Like you just kind of in one place and you have to hold your spot in line. And it's no good. Our virtual platform is just that. It's not a video, it's a platform. Like it's a whole series of things. It's book recommendations, it's your notes. It's a lot of stuff that's designed to help you rethink how you lead. So the challenge is to get through all 21 modules. Now, we don't recommend you do it 21 days in a row because you will get intellectual overload. But modules are, 10 minutes, 12 minutes long. And they're interactive, and they got word stories, and they got real stories, and they're meant to be fun. And at the end of every module, there's a homework assignment. There's also a quiz. And one of the fun games is to get the answers wrong on the quiz, because there are personalized answers for all false or incorrect answers. Like there's a little bit of right. But the homework is designed to be like, hey, look, you learned a key idea. Now do this homework to apply this idea to your life somehow. Like make it fit correctly. And then in the process of making it fit, you're taking in training, there's 4 levels of training. So at the base, it's just entertainment. The videos are entertaining. The platform is really cool, I think, and it's interactive. Then the second level is knowledge. Like, did you learn something new, or did this remind you of something you already knew that you should be using? And those are cute, but you could put a movie in and hit both of those, right? The gold standard is to get above those 2. And the one above it is application. So can you take an idea from this and apply it in your life? That's a big deal. And if you can do that, you're winning, because the top level above application is business outcome. If you're applying good, solid principles of leadership in your life, in your family, in your business, you will have business outcomes, whether it's, a lasting relationship with your spouse and your kids, or, money in your pocket, or that sense of sort of value and purpose found in a true struggle. You get all those things, but you've got to be willing to pay along the way. So the sacrifice is, can I schedule 3 modules a week, and I'm going to do this for 7 weeks. And you're going to spend that time on purpose, intentionally, like forcing yourself to get back into that mindset of growth and development, and get back to that place where, in boot camp, it was easy. Every day they were teaching you how to be stronger, faster, smarter, right? But when we don't have someone helping us to crack that whip or push us down the track or make sure that we're improving ourselves, we let off the gas a little bit. Well, the 21-step challenge is the challenge just to do that. It's to put your foot back on the gas and get yourself to that next step where you can get application of ideas and you can get the benefits of the business outcome of doing things right. So that's the trick, is you got 1 down. Now there's 20 more to go. And then there's all the homework assigned to that. But that process is going to shake things up for you. It will, just being gay. You talked about you wanted to start the podcast, and then suddenly you find people who are helping you along the way. I mean, that's Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. When you start your journey, you start your adventure, you answer that call to action, you get 3 things, right? You get allies, so people who will help you along the way. You get elder wisdom, so people will show up that are like, hey, let me steer you in this direction, and let me help you through that, right? And then that's the sensei, Mr. Miyagi, that shows up to teach you all of a sudden in one day.
Wax on, wax off, baby.
Right. And then the last thing you get is supernatural aid, or if you're a person of faith, you get grace. Just things happen. Good things happen when you start. And unfortunately, where most people struggle is the starting. I mean, it's that old writing thing. A bad writer worries about how to start their paper, their essay, their thing. A good writer, worries about how to go back and fix it. They worry about how they wrote it. Be good. Yeah. Whatever it is you want to do, whatever your thing is, start it. Go, move. Even if it's just, I'll pitch, do the challenge. Sign up for the 21-step challenge and get started. And the process of starting is going to bring you people who will help you along the way, people who will teach you, and just magical stuff is going to happen where you're like, man, what a coincidence. I can't believe this. And it happens every time. That's why it's in the monomyth. That's why every movie ever made has those elements. And if it's a story that doesn't have those elements, it's not a story. It doesn't get memorialized in a myth or a movie or a book. If it doesn't have those elements, the human brain just goes, nah, that's not how it works. Right.
Exactly. And Ambitious Vet, I'm just going to throw some more fuel on this fire. I mean, even over the past 6 months, this has been some of the most self-reflecting time for a lot of us that are just learning more about ourselves because we have more time in the calendar. We don't have drive time to a job. Maybe some of you that are here in this, in the South here in Texas, I mean, we're some of us are still driving to the job and stuff like that, but you have more drive time, right? Might as well invest in yourself, right? We talked about desire, find desire to become more. And over the past 6 months, going back to what I was saying is I'm always finding what is the skill that I need to develop? What are my strengths? What do I need to do to elevate those strengths? What is a course? What is a book? What is a podcast? Something like that to continue to grow, to hit that next level of my goals. Because if you don't got goals, you're stagnant and you're going to wind up, building someone else's dreams or not being happy, resigned. And, anytime I start finding myself stagnant, I get scared, man. I throw a credit card towards something that's going to help me get uncomfortable.
We've all had enough time to learn how to bake bread and to learn how to play guitar. We're done, right? It's time to get out of the mirror and look in the mirror and start working on building ourselves up, making ourselves smarter, because there's so much we can do. There's so much good that can be done. And so the fun stuff, that was the first 9 months. I got it. I can make a mean roll of sourdough and I can pull a riff around a campfire. I'm good. It's time
to step up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Colonel Garth Massey, I know we only got you for a couple more minutes. I want to wrap this up for pretty much just our tradition here, which is the 3 golden grenades that you want to drop in here. You could summarize the entire show, but really we want to focus with these golden grenades as wisdom bombs. 3 wisdom bombs that an ambitious vet that's listening to this right now that is just looking to elevate their success, maybe boost their satisfaction or fulfillment in business, career, or life. What would be 3 wisdom bombs you'd give that ambitious vet right now?
Well, from our talk today, so number 1, virtue matters. Go look them up. right? There's 4 cardinal virtues. There's humility, magnanimity is a fun one to say aloud, right? There's a ton written about it because it's been discussed for 2,000 plus years. Like, go look it up. It will change the way you interact with everyone and everything, right? It's a good thing. And you can find it all over the place. Number 2, we talk about commander's intent in the military when we talk about like mission oriented, getting stuff done. Apply that in your life. And it's actually a whole class because it's a bigger deal. But I would tell you this, we overcomplicate it and we don't need to. Commander's intent is what you desire to get done and the why. And so for vets, I would tell you, just answer 2 simple questions. My desire is ... and in order to ... Apply that to your life, your business, your family. My desire is to have a closer relationship with my wife in order to foster an environment where my kids can grow healthy and strong. I have comfort and support, blah, 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 right? Just answer those 2 questions. My desire is and in order to. And then the last one is, we'll go back to shaping the environment. That's on you. All of us as individuals have a responsibility to shape our environment. And it's not about excuses, and it's not about like, well, yeah, but you don't understand, like things are going to happen to all of us. You're not guaranteed a good lot in any of it, but you are responsible for how you approach it. And you can manage that by shaping an environment where you're more likely to succeed. I mean, if you could go play craps at a casino somewhere and know that you were working with loaded dice and would never get caught, take the chance, make the money, right?
You just go for it. Yeah.
Right. Let's say it's not illegal, just because I can't advocate anything like that. But shaping your environment is like playing with loaded dice, and it's totally legal, right? Set yourself up. And it's in every simple thing. Like, if you really need to get out and run more, well, great. Lay your shoes, your shorts, and your shirt on the floor next to the bed when you go to bed. So when you wake up, you have to kick them out of the way to choose not to run. Like, it's everything from that simple to like really big, hairy, audacious stuff. But you own that. That's on you. Be responsible for how you work in your own environment. So virtue, commander's intent, understand it and live it. And then take responsibility for how you shape your own environment. Like, we got no space for excuses right now.
Not at all. And that's not what leaders do anyways, right?
There you go.
Boom. There goes the golden grenades. Well, Colonel Garth Massey, thank you so much for your time. Where can an ambitious vet go learn more about this 21-step challenge, more about Command Ready?
So Command Ready's website, commandready.com. If you listened to this thing, I'll send you a link. We'll do a special discount for anybody who listened to the podcast, and it brings a big chunk off the price. And then the goal is like get through the 21 steps, reach out. But LinkedIn, always open on LinkedIn. I reply to the messages. At least now my audience is only in the thousands, so I can answer everybody who writes. But yeah, follow on LinkedIn or connect. You don't need to follow me. Connect. We'll grow our networks together. You can go to the website and sign up, but I'll give you a link, and you can post the link if you like with the thing. And anybody who wants to take the challenge, bring it on.
Come on. All right, ambitious vet. So all those links will be in the show notes below. Colonel Garth Massey, thanks again for your time, and thanks for joining the Ambitious Vet Show.
Pleasure to be here, Chris. Thanks.
The Ambitious Vet is available on all popular podcast platforms. Go to vettrainingcoaching.com to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow vets.
Are you looking for an awesome online subscription-based coffee company? Are you looking for fuel for your warrior lifestyle and a brand that knows how to have fun and give back? If that's you, Ambitious Vet, go ahead and go check out alpha.coffee/ambitious vet. Until next week, hold the vision and trust the process.